Welcome, friends. And we're celebrating today. This day is International Day of Older People. Look around. Somebody's older than someone. We are going to start with our opening hymn, number 2, Creatures of Our God and King.
That's such a pretty song. Let's do 4 and 5 while we're at it. All right.
Oh
Interesting. I didn't know where the book was or what I was going to sing. Did anyone see some kind of angel appear up here and give me a book? And then disappeared? See how it happens? Thank you. Well, in keeping with this is not what I'm to say. Yes, my talk. Oh, okay. He says, go on. In keeping with today's celebration, first, I'm nervous, which is rare. And I was asked to do this, and I thought, well, no one said anything, and I know this is a free-spirited place, so I should talk about the blues on the Mississippi. No, then I looked up, and in the Google, it said, today is the International Day of Older Persons. And this was proclaimed on October 14th, 1990 by the United Nations General Assembly. October 1st just happened to be today, which gave me a theme to present. Now, as far as, could you hold just a moment? This is a centering thought, because it's a blessing to have older people around. Look around, is it not? Whether they are family, friends, or acquaintances, older people have a wealth of knowledge, experience, and life lessons to share. How many have something they'd like to share with others? Or do share? I do. Raise your hands, because you all have something of value. Wisdom belongs to the aged, and understanding to the older person, says Job 12:12. Wisdom and experiences of older people can serve as valuable maps for a younger person's journey through life. We can lead the way so younger people don't have to feel that they are, like the introduction to Star Trek, boldly going where no man has dared to go, because older people have been there. Captain James T. Kirk, also known as William Shatner, who is now 92, at the age of 90, he was the oldest person to ever really be in space. And if you want to read about his experiences, you can go to his new book called Boldly Go. I wrote a poem just for this occasion, entitled Just Ask. I want you to listen and think about what you can share with younger people. But of course, we all know that we have to wait until they ask. Ask and my words will flow, and I'll tell you whatever you want to know about finding happiness in a world filled with gloom, about discovering peace alone in a quiet room, about finding true love when you've tried everything, about remembering the songs that make your heart sing, and dancing in the moonlight to music from within, keeping poems and stories in your memory, listening to the wisdom of the elderly, finding joy from the small things in life, living free from misery and strife, making peace within a troubled soul, reaching your life's goals, being present in the here and now, relaxing by breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, enjoying your time alone, appreciating your own space at home, filling your heart with gratitude, keeping a positive attitude, remembering beauty along the way, opening your heart to love each day. Taking delight in learning something new, believing in yourself and being true, forgiving and loving your fellow human, finding happiness wherever you can. I'll tell you all I know to make your life bloom, lighten your load and diminish the gloom. keeping joy where it matters most, deep within your soul. I've mapped out my journey throughout the years. I've learned to assuage my tears and fears. I'll gladly share the lessons and the maps that are etched upon my soul, if you want to know. My life has been an education. As a younger person, I carried a heavy load, stumbling and sometimes falling on the bumps in the road. Knowing what I know now would have helped me avoid those trials and tribulations. If you want to know, I'll tell you how to navigate those treacherous places in the road and the dangers to avoid. I'd be overjoyed if you want to know. And as Spock, my favorite Star Trek character, always said, may you live long and prosper. Look at this. And now, let us have community sharing announcements. And we'll start with our Zoom people. Good morning, Zoom people.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We just finished our Family Promise Support Week, and I want to thank everyone for their contribution. It was very successful. The house is buzzing with all the excitement that's going on right now. And I would also like to try something technical. If you guys can give me a moment, I want to share my screen and see how that works out.
There it is.
There it is.
Other people can also share screen. This is a invitation from the Stability Builders Network, which is Family Promise on steroids. They are inviting the community to come and give your input. And it is Wednesday, October the 11th at the Shelter House. So it's a good opportunity to see the Shelter House if anybody still wants to see that and participate and help strengthen what they are doing.
In just a month, we're doing Books and Brunch. And next week, you will actually have be able to sign up, since I couldn't make it today. But we have some new tasks and new purchases. I'm going to need somebody to buy a number 4 sign for our 8 desk signs. We're going to need things like frozen waffles and frozen pancakes and syrup and butter to go along with them.
Be emailed to a list.
Yeah, I'm going to email this list. Hash browns. And last but not least, chicken to be put in casseroles or as nuggets, because we do not want to hurt and leave out the carnivores. There are many of us, and chicken is a very good type of meal. Well, of course, I used to work for the Colonel, so I can say that. But be looking for the forms and things,
And they're going to be posted.
and we'll post them on to the entire mailing list and things. I'll have those ready. And I want to thank in advance my predecessor, Ann Tarvin, who's made a delightful poster that will be posted out. And I'd love to have people pass these things out to their libraries and to their neighborhood grocery stores to get the word out.
Any other Zoomers with announcements? Okay, let's take this meeting. Anyone in the meeting with announcements?
You send that to somebody.
They're everywhere.
Hi, Jeff Gabbard. Just a reminder, our hike is in 1 week, October 7th, Saturday. If you have signed up and you have not received an email from me with directions, please get with me today. I can be a little scatterbrained and I might have missed you. If you haven't signed up yet, this is your last chance. So please do so today. Either tell me or Joanne or sign the sheet outside so we can get you added, because there are directions we need to give you on finding the farmhouse. And Phil, I've had a lot of questions about the ruggedness and duration of the hike. So could you maybe speak a little bit about what we're really going to be hiking?
Well, if you've all heard of Mount Everest, it is a largely level walk, one of the few level walks in Orange County, through a beautiful second growth forest. I think a total of about 3 miles in all, but not arduous at all. It's just very pleasant. There are limited parking spots there, so we'll carpool from the farmhouse to the site. And if friends wish to carpool from here, you should allow 2 hours. So if you want to meet here at 10 and carpool down, I'm sorry, at 8, and 8 o'clock here, I'm sure there'll be people who will want to carpool down with you. It'll make the trip seem that much quicker. Well, depending on who you ride with. But we're all set. Joanne's going to be busy making soups, and other people are bringing things also. And it's bring a lawn chair if you want to sit outside. And we're looking forward to having you. Joanne, did you want to say anything?
Anyone that knows the Gulleys knows that Phil's the idea person and I make it happen. So what I'm going to make happen that day is we're going to have lots of soups, we're going to have cheese and crackers, we're going to have veggies and dips, we're going to have desserts, we're going to have apples and caramel. It's just going to be a really fallish type get-together. We're really low maintenance, so if you are not up to the hike, come and hang out with me at the farmhouse. I've got other people that are going to do that as well. So I think it's going to be a really good time. The weather's supposed to be perfect. I looked this morning and it's 60 and sunny for next Saturday. So I hope you'll all make it. So it should be a good time. I'm going to segue, since I'm already up here, into another announcement. Next Sunday is our Women's Book Club, and we will pack our individual lunches and then meet in the dining room about noon and have our conversation then. So if you have any questions about what we're reading, let me know. Thanks.
Hey everyone, this is Laura Essex. Just a quick note that October 22nd is our children's Halloween party. You're all welcome to join, as long as you're in costume. So that'll be during meeting for worship. So any kids who would like to join are welcome. We'll have snacks and just some fun times. On a side note, in a planning perspective, if you have any craft suggestions that are good for a slightly wide variety of age groups that are simple with minimal prep work on the part of the adult, that would be great. Please let me know. Thank you.
Hello. I know it's October, just barely, but I have a very gentle thought for all of you. If any of you feel led in the month of December, when it's very celebratory, Christmassy, I'm just on behalf of Music Committee. If anyone would like to bring some special music, I wanted to give you time to think about it, and we would love to have some extra performances sprinkled in during that month. So I'm telling you now, just so you can prepare, think about it, and my contact information is under the meeting contacts. I'm Amanda Gainey, so if you're interested, let me know.
Good morning, this is Becky Horton. I'm making two announcements. One is on behalf of Carol Cordray for Books and Brunch. She texted me earlier and asked that I announce that if you have any books that you want to donate, please put them in the library on the table. Okay. And this next one is more of a update on Kunat. Randy and I did a delivery on Tuesday. The car was packed to the brim. He could hardly see out. Mabel was so thankful to have our food. The pantry was pretty bare. It was pretty bare. So she is always thankful for anything that we bring. The first thing I noticed when we drove up was the front outside of the building has been painted. So that's a huge improvement. There's lettering on the outside that looks like it was done professionally, not just somebody like me going up with a paintbrush, that has Kunat Food Pantries on the front in 2 places. The roof has been repaired, so they do not have an opening for a skylight anymore. There are new windows in the front of the building. So that's the outside. That's, again, it's going to be an ongoing project outside and the back. Inside, again, it's still a major ongoing project. The front room is now lined with shelves and tables. She has items on there where she's going to have a garage sale as a fundraiser soon. So once that's cleared out, then she's going to have it kind of like a little thrift area, so anyone that comes to get food can get other items they need. She's not selling things. She's just giving them away. Let's see what else. Oh, in the front room, she has curtains hanging, and it's looking much nicer. The fourth part of my talk here is Thanksgiving. I know this seems early, as Amanda said, but we have to start thinking now. She's going to be doing the food baskets, as she has done in the past, and Fairfield Outreach has volunteered to help stock those baskets. I will be calling her in a couple weeks to get an exact count of how many items she needs and what items we're going to ask you to donate. Heads up, I have 30 boxes of stovetop stuffing in the pantry, so I think we're going to be telling her we'll do stovetop stuffing as one of our items. And I will let you know as soon as I know what items and how many we need. And again, thank you so much for your generosity. We couldn't help Kunat if it wasn't for you.
This is Bill Smith, and I'm talking from the architectural or the outside committee. Basically, we're going to have a cleanup day, fall cleanup day, on Saturday, November 11th. We're going to try and show up around 8 o'clock, depending on how cold it is. We'll send out notices to everybody, but major goal is to try and get rid of all the plantings that are around, and also we're going to try and work on the white meeting house. It's looking pretty tacky, unfortunately. Thank you.
There we go. Scheduling announcement, schedule change announcement for worship. Now, it doesn't change the time, it just changes what we're doing. Normally, when there's a 5th Sunday, it's an unprogrammed meeting, and we're all used to that. But we've had an opportunity to have people from Wright sharing the India program on that Sunday, so we grabbed it. So we will have those special guests on the 5th Sunday, but that leaves us without a Sunday for unprogrammed, and we already missed one for yearly meeting. So the 15th, the middle Sunday of the month, will be unprogrammed meeting rather than programmed. So all of you who schedule your lives around this, take note. I'll keep announcing it.
Oh God, save us, we pray. From the expectation of entitlement. From believing our age exempts us from our duties and responsibilities as human beings. Keep uppermost, O God, in our minds and in our hearts our call to service, especially for the young who depend so heavily upon us. Let us, O God, view the world through their eyes, understand their fears, commit ourselves anew, O God, to their needs. Remind us, O God, that our work here is never done. That as long as there are lonely people, as long as there are hungry people, as long as there are angry people, our work is not done. Instill in us, O God, a passion for community, that we may lose our preoccupation with self-comfort and commit ourselves anew to the well-being of the most fragile among us. Help us see the children of this world not as someone else's responsibility or obligation, but as our grandchildren, to be loved and cherished, whether blood connects us or not. Place in our hearts, O God, a love for all your people everywhere. Help us use the gifts we have accumulated over the course of our years, and teach us, O God, how and where and when to pour them out in service. This is our prayer, O God, that our lives not be wasted, that our work matter and count and be transformative. This is our longing on this Sabbath day. Amen.
Food sustains us. People in our meeting often talk about the talented cooks and bakers among us. By way of your offerings, we help to feed people locally and around the world. Fairfield Friends Meeting is fed by our relationships, our beliefs, and through our stewardship. Please discern how you can help sustain the meeting by leaving a check in the offering plates during the meeting, or go online to learn where to mail donations or how to donate through PayPal.
And now we're going to pause and gather food for Kunat and for Annie's work with immigrants. So if we can have some, there we go, Chris and John, very good, very good. We'll let you guys do that. Chris, Joanne asked me just this morning when you had your double lung transplant. October 8th, 11, we were in the old meeting house. You wanted to get back in time for Snowflake Sunday. And here you are this morning carrying that basket around like a teenager. Well, Frank Gladden's not here this morning. He's out harvesting, it being fall time. I'm kind of glad he's not here because I was going to mention him. I was talking with him last month and he was moaning about the weather, as farmers are prone to do. He said, we need rain. He said, do you have any pull with the Lord? I said, well, I don't really know. How come you're asking? And he said, well, my beans need rain, and a real preacher would get me some rain. So to save Frank's beans and my reputation, I planned a 2-day vacation at our farm, knowing, despite what meteorologists say, that rain is not caused by the confluence of certain atmospheric weather patterns, but is the result of my going on vacation. And so I went. I took my friend Jim with me, and sure enough, when we arrived at the farm, it just began dumping rain, cats and dogs, and since I couldn't do anything outside, I went out to the garage to change the oil in the riding mower and sharpen the blades. And it had been a while since I had had those blades off and they were stuck. And so I had to use a long piece of pipe slipped over the end of the wrench to give me more leverage. It was the Greek philosopher Archimedes, who said, give me a firm place to stand and a lever, and I can move the earth. Archimedes said that while taking the blades off his lawnmower. So there I was, pulling that pipe with all my might, and the socket slipped off the nut, and my knuckles hit the mower deck. And oh, did that hurt. It hurt so bad, tears came to my eyes, and I began saying certain words out loud. And Jim heard me, and he came outside, and he saw me laying there on the cement floor, and he said, what in the world happened to you? Are you crying? Why are you crying? I said, I'm crying because I'm so happy for Frank and his beans. Look at all this rain. And it just settled into this beautiful, gorgeous, nice, steady rain, a farmer's rain. So after working on the mower, I went inside and I took a nap on the front porch, just listening to the rain. Jim walked by. He said, were you just going to lay around all day or what? And I reminded him of the Bible story about God working in his garage and being worn down to a frazzle, so taking the day off. Even God took naps. I said, Genesis 2, verse 2, it's right there. You can read all about it. You remember that story, don't you? How God worked 6 straight days building the universe. Then on the morning of the 7th day, God needed to mow. Now, I know it doesn't say this in our English language Bibles, but in the original Hebrew it says this, and Mark's nodding his head in agreement. Yeah. So God wakes up on the 7th morning to mow the grass God had created on the 3rd day. So was working on his mower, busted his knuckles, and said, that's it, I'm taking a nap. Today I rest. I enjoy life. God named that nap Sabbath, which comes from the Hebrew word Shabbat, which means to cease and desist. So God took a nap. And some years later, when God met with Moses on Mount Sinai to impart these rules for life, God suggested, you know, it might be a good idea for you to do that also, and consequently made it the 4th commandment. Remember the Sabbath. Remember to nap. It's a holy thing. So we've been talking about those maps, both people and paper, that form and shape our lives, and how various characteristics on maps parallel our own lives. And what is one of the things you find on a map? The most glorious invention ever in road travel, the rest stop, which is what I want to talk about today, about stopping to rest, which God called the Sabbath, Shabbat, to cease and desist. Now, our ancestors thought the Sabbath was a day for sitting around quietly, miserable and somber. There was to be no laughter, no joy, no beauty on their Sabbath, just this unrelenting, gray, sober earnestness. But you should know that the early Hebrews had no objection to the Sabbath being a day of joy and fun. Indeed, that was the point. For 6 days they labored. And then came the day to savor, enjoy, and appreciate the beauty life had to offer. The naturalist John Muir was once asked if he enjoyed hiking. He bristled at the word. He said, "I don't like either the word or the thing. People ought to saunter in the mountains, not hike." Do you know the origin of the word saunter? It's a beautiful word. Way back in the Middle Ages, people used to go on pilgrimages to the Holy Land, and when people in the villages that they would pass through would yell out to them, asking them, "Where are you going?" they would reply, "A la Santerre," to the Holy Land. And so they became known as Santerres or Saunterers. That's the origin of that word. Muir believed the mountains were America's holy land, that we should saunter through them reverently, not hike through them hurriedly. Consequently, he was usually the last person to reach camp at night because he never hurried. He stopped to get acquainted with individual trees along the way. And whenever someone would pass him on the trail, he would invite them to get down on their hands and knees to study the beauty of a microscopic flower or variety of moss. And usually he arrived at camp with flowers in his buttonholes and sprigs of fir branches in his hat. His life was lived in a spirit of Sabbath, not just one day a week, but every day. Now think how often you and I have been taught that Sabbath is a day to honor God, as if adoration and submission are something God requires of us. But what if the point of Sabbath is to acknowledge and honor our humanity? To immerse ourselves in the reservoirs of rest and creation, to learn again what it means to be human, what it means to be grateful. In that sense, the Sabbath is a day of rejuvenation, a pause that refreshes. That's what the Hebrews believed, and they took it very seriously and deeply. When Nehemiah discovered certain type A people were slipping into Jerusalem to make an extra buck on the Sabbath, he got himself put in charge, locked the city gate, and sent them home to take a nap. The Sabbath is the one day of the week we are asked to resist the urge to work. One day out of 7 that isn't about making a buck or expanding our wealth. One day when we're not hell-bent on getting ahead or rushing down the trail. It is a day for joy, for slowing down, for ceasing and desisting so we can savor the beauty God has given us. And God said, let's call that day Sabbath. I remember one Sunday years ago, and incidentally, I don't know who put in the new garden in honor of Ken and Don Sheets, but it's out there to the left as you leave, and you can see it, and it's going to be beautiful. But I remember one day, years ago, when we were over in the White Meeting House, when Don Sheets stood during worship. It was the height of summer. All of her gardens were in bloom, and she invited everyone to come over to their house after meeting to see their flowers. That is Sabbath. Sabbath is dressing beautifully, eating delicious food, delighting our souls with gorgeous music. It is not sitting down at the computer to prepare for Monday's presentation. It is not dusting the house. Sabbath is avoiding fast food and enjoying with friends a slow meal. Sabbath is poetry. Instruction manuals are not Sabbath. Sabbath is curtains blowing in the breeze. Sabbath is pitch and catch in the side yard. An iPad is not Sabbath. Sabbath is a bicycle ride. Sabbath is kissing your spouse when the kids and grandkids are watching. It is not kissing someone else's spouse. Sabbath is a game of golf without keeping score. Sabbath is the hammock in our screen house. When rightly understood, the motives for Sabbath and Quaker simplicity are the same. They both are a corrective against our tendency to fill our lives with more and more and more. Both Sabbath and simplicity are our way of putting the brakes on our frantic rush to accumulate. It is our way of slowing down, of being called back to our center and source. We need this because we are an ironic people. We work overtime to buy things we don't need in order to impress people we don't like. We go on vacation to renew ourselves and come home spent and depleted. We begin a hobby to help us relax, and before long we've made it an obsession, a contest, a measure of our wealth and status. We sacrifice our relationships on the altar of money, convincing ourselves our families want the things we buy them more than the time we give them. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. How is that done? How is something made holy? By gratitude, by being grateful for life, by enjoying life, by doing something wonderful with our lives besides racking up more wealth, by stopping every now and then to lay down our levers and say, this is the day the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
Please stand and join us in our closing hymn, Worship in Song 158. God of grace and God of glory.
Emerson Fosdick wrote the words to that song just before World War I. A war dreamed up by people bent on making the world a better place through military might. And we saw how that worked. The first two lines of the last hymn, though, remain with me, and I think are as fine a guide for our Christian life as any written. Save us from weak resignation to the evils we deplore. Years ago, after September 11th, the government said, if you see something, say something, urging us to be cognizant and aware of things that were happening around us. We need to transform that saying, friends. If you see something, say something. If you see people dehumanized and degraded, say something. If you see the poor abused and mistreated, say something. If you see someone rejected for their race or religion, say something. If, friends, you see anything that breaks the heart of God, you be the one to say something. And then we will be together the people who bring healing. That is our calling in this world. If anyone asks you what it means to be a Quaker, you just tell them, it means when I see something, I will say and do something. Amen. Turn and greet friends. Thank you.